Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Hope you're well. This is solo travel tips for beginners. So if that's what you're watching this video for, then you are definitely in the right place. Today, I'm sharing three fears that solo travelers have, and you may have them yourself. And definitely be sure to watch until the end because the last thing I'm going to go through is the one thing you can do to overcome all of these fears and your anxiety. And I definitely pinky swear promise on that. All right. And feel free to hold me to it. In any case, I am Esha, Carnivalista in Chief of the Carnivalista Lifestyle. Definitely say hello in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Let us dive right in. So, the number one fear that solo travelers have is personal safety concerns. And I completely get that, especially if you are a woman. Yes, okay, we have fears about our personal safety, and I completely get that. And let me share a statistic with you from Solo Female Travelers Club. And there are whole clubs around solo travel, but we'll get into that later. They found that on a survey that they gave to their audience, 66% of women worry about their safety when traveling alone. Now, this is especially increased and it's more prevalent if you have not traveled a lot. So, let's say you only have been in your hometown, not good or bad, not judging, right? But if that is your reality, then it's more likely that you are very, very concerned about your own personal safety. I myself remember being fearful of this and anxious about my own personal safety when I started traveling solo 20ish years ago. Can't even remember the number. So, obviously, you are not alone in this first fear. Okay. So, let's move on to fear number two, loneliness and social isolation. Now, that is a very real fear because when you get to your destination, you worry about feeling lonely. Like, I'm going to be all by myself. What am I going to do? What am I going to do by myself? How am I going to feel when I do it by myself? You know what I mean? So, in addition, not in addition, as an example of one of the fears that you may have, or I actually have had personally, is eating alone. Like, what am I going to do if I'm eating by myself? Because we're so accustomed, although the pandemic kind of, right? We're so accustomed to eating being a social activity. So we go out with friends to eat. We go out with a significant other to eat. We go on a date and we eat. We go out with our kids and we eat. That as women, when the first thing that we feel fearful or anxious about is eating alone, that is a fear for many, many women. And I have to admit, it was very uncomfortable for me in the beginning too. Eating alone, going to the movies alone, going to shows alone, that was definitely very uncomfortable in the beginning. With eating in particular, what really helped me was to bring along a book because I love to read or a good podcast to really start and dig into. So I felt really excited even going and eating by myself. I usually don't like to watch videos when I eat by myself because I want to be sure I'm making eye contact with the people around me and I want to be aware of my surroundings generally. So yeah, I like to take a book or I find a good podcast to dig into that I can listen to so I can eat. I'm looking around me, I'm still kind of engaged in the atmosphere. And it also, as a solo traveler, it gives you, when you're doing that kind of activity where your eyes are not completely zoned into a screen, you have the opportunity to make eye contact with people around you. And, you never know who you lock eyes with, right? Maybe they're reading a book too and they look up and you look up and you lock eyes with this person. So you never know. And, or it could be a kindred spirit who you lock eyes with. Maybe you're reading the same book or they lock eyes and they smile, and that's an opening for you to introduce yourself or they introduce themselves and you kind of connect in that way. So anyway, that is fear number two, loneliness and social isolation. And I've already given you a pretty good tip there, right? Okay. And remember to watch until the end for the number one solution to all of these fears. So, fear number three is logistical challenges and language barriers. Now, this one is very, very real, especially if you're traveling to a foreign country where English is not the official language or it's not widely spoken. Even as an event planner, I worry and have anxiety about logistical challenges about language barriers. I run a travel agency, so I take groups to places, so that is something that I worry about myself. So I completely understand this concern. And then adding the language barriers on top of everything else, whoo, child, yes, completely understand that fear and that anxiety for sure, for sure, for sure. All right. So if me talking about your fears and anxieties have not completely thrown you off the wall, let's go through the number one solution for you to move forward and bust your fears and anxiety about solo travel. Take a staycation. It probably wasn't the solution that you were thinking about, but hear me out. It is really a wonderful solution, and it's baby steps to solo travel. All right? Yes, it is really, really great as baby steps. And now a staycation can address all three of those fears that I mentioned, right? It can address your personal safety concerns because you're in a somewhat familiar area. You're on a staycation, all right? It can address your loneliness and social isolation. Again, familiarity in this case doesn't breed contempt, it makes you breathe easier. Okay, a little play on words there. But anyway, so it definitely helps with your loneliness and social isolation because you think, oh, I'm in my town, or I'm in my city, or I'm the next city over, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And then the third fear it helps to address is the logistical challenges and the language barriers, because you don't really have a language barrier. You're on a staycation. You're in your natural-ish habitat. And then the logistical challenges, you feel that sense, more of a sense of safety, because you're again in your general kind of zone, you're in your area. All right, so this is a really, really great way to go through, bust through all of those three fears that I mentioned. Try your own city. Like, let's say you live in the suburbs, try a staycation downtown in the city proper. If you live in the city proper, try a staycation in the next city over, and that is close to home, not too far out, and you are definitely gonna start with baby steps because, of course, this is solo travel for beginners. All right. This is a really great way, the next city over, your own city that you live in, to bust through all three of those fears that I mentioned. Now, your fears and anxiety definitely ease with preparation. So, I'm definitely not advocating to wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I'm going to go on a staycation and just go. Preparation is definitely going to help. It's going to help to ease your fears, and it will definitely help your anxiety as well. One of the other things that you definitely want to do on your staycation is connect with fellow travelers. Maybe look up a local group, that you can plug into. And you also ease your fears and anxiety with gaining experience. A staycation, as I said, is a great way. You are already in your city. Add trying some new restaurants to go to. Try, maybe if you go into the city and there's a show, try going to a show by yourself. Maybe taking a matinee movie. You gain experience, and as you do more things solo, it really builds your confidence. And I am a huge poster child for that. From the very first time I went out to go eat by myself to going to a movie by myself. And it wasn't that I didn't have anybody to go with. Well, in a few instances, because I didn't have anybody to go with, because, I love musicals and I love plays, and I didn't really have friends at the time who liked all of those things. So I just decided to go by myself. I wasn't dating anybody at the time, 20 odd years ago. And I just decided to do it by myself because I wanted to experience these things, and I didn't want to wait around for my friends to come with me or whatever. Social media wasn't that big back then, so I didn't know how to find any other social groups of people to go. So I just did it by myself. So definitely repetition, gaining experience in all of these individual solo experiences and through your staycation will help to reduce your anxiety over time. Now I have two bonus solutions for you. Now, as you do your staycation, whether it's in your city or in the city over, next city over, maybe another 20 miles, 25 miles out from wherever you are, have a social event that you can plan around. It could be a festival if you like music, a certain type of music. It could be a concert, like Queen Bee is on her tour right now. Maybe you want to go see Beyonce in New Jersey, and you don't live that far, right? So plan a staycation around a social event. That is a great way to connect and meet some other people while building your confidence as well. For example, you may, if you are in the North Carolina, state of North Carolina, Triangle, even as far as Charlotte, you might want to check out my Sip, Seva, and Soka breakfast party that is happening on May the 3rd. That is coming up. That's something you could plan a whole weekend around, right? We have a VIP experience that's on May the 2nd. We have the breakfast party that's on May the 3rd. That's a whole social calendar right there. You could even plug in with some local Zumba classes. If you love soca, we have tons of Zumba soca instructors in this area. You can even plug that in as well and build your whole weekend with social events that are not going with a social one main social event, I'll say, because we don't want you running from place to place to place, right? We want to give you something that you can build out and plan around to enjoy and have fun. So that is the bonus tip number one. Let us, oh, actually, no, before I move off from there, you may also want to look at some local day tours. As I said, social groups to tap into. I Am Beautiful, the movement, is a really great social group to tap into because there are women all across the United States, positive women that you may want to tap into. Hey, is anybody going to be in this area? And especially on Facebook, there are tons of women based solo travel groups that you can tap into, even just in your little area. Like, do a search, solo travel, whatever city you live in, whatever town you live in. I'm sure you can find other women to tap into and say, hey, I'm doing a staycation here in this area. Is anybody going to be around? Want to meet up for dinner or whatever? Plan around an event, and that is definitely a bonus solution for you. Now, another bonus, and this is an unexpected bonus of doing a staycation as your first solo trip. It'll be cheaper. You're doing something locally, it will definitely be cheaper. You don't have to get a plane ticket to go anywhere. You hop in your car, drive wherever you need to drive. You'll definitely have lower accommodation options depending on the city. New York is an anomaly here for sure. But it's definitely going to be cheaper than if you were paying for a flight to go somewhere, needing to pay for transportation to go everywhere you went, and food costs, accommodations, all of that stuff outside of the country, right? Again, this is definitely a bonus. Spending less money is a bonus at this time. We'll take it, right? As your first solo trip, do the staycation. All right, so that is my tip to share with you to overcome those solo travel fears and anxieties. I would put another plug here to say solo travel is definitely one of the things that has opened up my own world personally. And really being able to spend the time by myself, build my confidence, and learn more about me, learn to love on me a little bit. Ooh, you know what would be a really great staycation? Build in a spa day. I love spa days. I do them regularly. Build in a spa day, like find the best spa that you can find in your area and plan a whole staycation around a spa day. I would totally do that. So anyway, what was that? Bonus tip number 3? Okay. Anyway, if this video was helpful for you, you will definitely want to subscribe to this channel, this YouTube channel, or if you're on Facebook, definitely follow me on Facebook. And you want to check out this next video that I'm going to put in the description box for you. And it is travel items I cannot live without. You definitely don't want to miss that video. As always, I am hugging you up. Here we go. And I'll see you in the next video.